Oh.
Thank you, Frankie. Look, I'm getting a little nervous, Taco, now. Vico Venoflixi, they got a big match, but they're still not in qualifying range for that consistency leaderboard. They're at 99 points. The cutoff is currently 107 points. But after this game, it'll continue rising. So let's get right into it.
Maybe if it's a game 5 scenario and Veno, Vico, Flixie are still towing the line there with that consistency threshold on the leaderboard, maybe then I start to get a little bit worried. But it's Veno, Vico, and Flixie. They're gonna figure it out. They already basically did it in the last lobby.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that, but we know their confidence is going to cause them to just keep on fighting. It's what they know how to do best, and sometimes you can get a little unlucky in one of those fights, and all it's going to take is one more match without a lot of points, and it's going to put them on the edge for the last game of the day. Time will tell, though, as we look at Canyon once again contested.
Bit of a heartbreaker there, though, for Amy and Co. Probably pretty happy in the last lobby. Get a little bit of uncontested relief, but ABC, Marvik, Godoy, they've really just trying to find, they've been trying to find their foothold in this group since game 1, and nothing has really come to fruition just yet for this trio. Also looks like they're kind of just left to deal with scraps currently in what could be a very decisive Canyon Crossing outcome of that early contest.
Looking at what happened at Foxy Floodgate, though. Quick Elim off the start. In terms of this engagement, Split Karma and Sato have been victorious, and once again, continuing to hold on to that crown. I did see on the Elim feed as well, Podosai picked up eliminations. I wonder if they got contested at Demon's Domain, but we can see kind of how this off-spawn and outpost did end up. Just a better drop is all it really took.
All that off-spawn practice paying off dividends right now for Sato's team, and Slick especially has had a handful of moments really of just clutching out for that team's opening. Marvik, Godoy, and ZNN though, still stuck hanging out overhead. Hammy, Ratty, Kev want to apply a little bit of pressure here. They don't want to leave Marvik alone on the high ground, just trying to be a little bit of a distraction factor here. But Rad not gonna be able to fully collapse just yet. Definitely hear Godoy kind of making a little bit of a ruckus there though, but Hammy still looking to just close in from a separate approach. These buildings are being fully gutted here at Canyon Crossing.
Yeah, trying to find any angle for one big shot. They're making sure to farm up. In the meantime, you can see there is at least one trio around them, but they're not going to walk on in yet. This fight honestly should end pretty quickly as soon as the first big shot gets exchanged. But so far, it's a waiting game.
But the time to elimination has been so heavily delayed with the way that ABC's trio is actually setting up at Canyon. They're not looking to immediately challenge, but they're just wasting so much time, and they're picking apart. There's not a whole lot of loot to split there between two trios, as is Takata. And so when things are even further delayed, you're really just extending an open invitation to get third party at that point. And teams like Fido, Cringe, they're just roaming around the map. Scary Sean even trying to see if they can set up a 3-2-1 opportunity here, which would be awful for Mr. Savage fans, especially given his position on the leaderboard.
I mean, it could be a lot worse. They've stayed in qualifying range throughout this whole day, basically, so
yeah, you don't want them going out early.
Yeah, it would be a shame to go down now, and it looks like a 3-2-1 is going to come through. The shots connect, not a single knock though has been made. Savage just has to hold on now, but with three players dashing right into you, it is incredibly difficult to do so. Even the loot that was left over on their surge base now is going to get taken. Chap is forced in a 3v1. This could quickly turn around for Savage and his trio.
This is exactly what you didn't want to see happen, but Poor chap, just nowhere left to run. Reason, the only survivor. No, he might be able to escape. It doesn't seem like he's actually caught the attention just yet from Scary Sean's team. I think he just bailed in a completely separate direction to Chap there to guarantee that at least one of them could live.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the good part of what kind of they were doing. They were setting up their surge base, had a player going around to get those extra shields, extra loot, and luckily it meant they weren't really together, but not being together caused Savage to get picked off, but at the same time, now it caused Reason to be able to kind of play it slow and get a reboot later on in the match, so hopefully it's going to be enough for them to maintain their spot on the leaderboard.
Well, we were mentioning the options, the opportunities for a third party in Canyon Crossing. Vexy, Pixovsky, Debule, Mythic, gonna be one of the first casualties there at the Canyon, but Veno, Vico, Flixie, this is where they thrive. Supernova Academy is bumping right now. They don't have any eliminations yet, but they are certainly trying to figure out if they can collect at least 1, 2, maybe even more. Vico, one thing's for sure, he's got to actually lock it down. He needs a chance to recuperate some of those shields. That is one issue with taking separate engagements at once. You have to trust, you have a lot of confidence in your teammates to tackle that, Takata, but you just don't want any kind of unintended outcomes, like another party rolling up to see if they can get a good flank maneuver in here. Pink, Nebs, and Kyoto are up to some wicked work right now.
Yeah, and if any POI is going to have those third parties come through based on what we've seen in the previous matches, it's going to be Supernova Academy. Kind of glad that Vico, Veno, Flixie were aware that it's a bit of a risky fight to take, ended up disengaging, and in the meantime, Nebs, Kira, and Pink looked for a quick 3-2-1, but their opponents were expecting it, as now it's just shots from afar.
But Venom, Flixie, and Vika, they've at least created enough space that they're going to be able to supervise if another team decides to jump into the fray here, but looks like for right now, they're going to peel off Vexy, Hammy, still, and Vexy like to believe that, yeah, he just gets clean elimination onto Hammy there. Not enough HP to really try and wiggle their way out. Just taking advantage of the opportunities presented.
Didn't. Moppy and Trexer, the only ones on the island currently, but it seems like they do have kind of a back and forth potential here. Take some shots and do a bit of extra damage. Perfect from the spur loot they've acquired now. I don't think anything too risky will come from this trio here, so we'll let them take their shots back and forth and head on over to Vico, Veno, Flixie once again, that do like getting up close and personal when it comes to finding that damage, and it seems like they might have just found a trio that seems to be separated from the rest of the lobby.
They've pretty much been trailing Gozia's team since back at Supernova Academy, and Vico looking to pick up where they last left off. The Superman sprites kind of connecting onto a handful of different walls there, but it's Vico. He does not care. He's just trying to jump into the box there from Gozia. Doesn't matter to him, even if it's a 2 versus 1. He trusts that he knows Veno, Flixie, they've got him covered. Does he to tag though? That's going to slow him down for a moment. Veno's got to be real careful here. Gozia trying to wrap around his flank, but Gozia loses track of where Flixie is at. And sandwich between Flixie and Veno. That's going to be Flixie's first elimination in this one. And now Nexer just hold up. Lucky gonna dash out, try to see if he can go for some kind of madman shot here. But this trio is just falling apart by the seams. Vico eats another tag, but with Lucky going down, Vico's gonna be able to fully close out that final member elimination. And that's the 3-piece that Veno's team has been chasing after since the start of this game.
There's a difference against going against the trio that's used to taking these fights in the group stages, the major finals, versus trios that might, you know, play aggressive in the playoffs in that first game. go for, you know, some big elim matches. Hold on, pause that thought. The 3-2-1 from Akira. Karama and Rarix is gonna pay off. Unfortunate for Zarb. Is gonna go down with 2 quick pumps. Now helping Karama and Co maintain that consistency, as it looks like they're gonna try and close it out on Stormy right here, and is now left as a duo.
With Stormy Riot and Radion as a duo, it's gonna be hard for them to cover their angles. Stormy Riot gets a good tag onto Karama, but Karama still has 2 other healthy members to depend on. That opening elimination pulling the numbers into their favor. Radion doing what he can. Even if it's a delay, the delay could be enough for Akira's team to decide to pull back, but hey, no. They can smell it, they can taste it. Just 2 more eliminations waiting right in front of them. And then they have Utopia all to themselves. They're not even gonna allow Stormy Riot and Radion to consider making that reboot attempt out of desperation. And Karama nearly folded by Stormy Riot there, but still manages to hold fast, and now 3 eliminations in tow. Warix, Karama, and Akira, their patience paid off.
That it did. Speaking about patience, Pink, Nebs, and Kuro have been playing very patient, haven't gone too hard. There was one match where I believe they had like 8 eliminations before the end game, but after that happened, they're like, all right, you know, we've done our job. We're in the top spot of the consistency leaderboard. We don't have to take any risks from this point on, and since then they've been consistently making it to the end game, and it looks like once again they don't want to force any fights, even if they might have the advantage. Mongrel's team though, starting with 3 eliminations, this maybe the best we've seen them so far set up throughout the day, and it's not even ideal. Still missing a lot of mats, and now with the pressure coming from Pinken's trio, it's gonna be tough to make their way to zone.
I don't know, Takata, that material count looked kinda grim there for Mongrel's trio. I don't know if maybe Growl was holding on to a little bit more material count there, but they're gonna have to spend time refarming mats as they continue to try and navigate the 4th lobby. Pixovsky, Dabule, Vexy. So many teams just willing to invest time tanking the early storm tick damage, the med miss grenades and med kits, as well as the chug jugs. It just a big array of healing options that make it feasible for players to expend that little bit of additional time and play for those dead side positions.
Little storage ramp gonna be made, but when your opponent's on the top of a mountain with a giant tower, you're gonna have to expend a lot of materials if you want to match that height.
It's okay, he can lose his shield and he won't have to worry.
That's true. Well, the back and forth will continue here. Showing a bit of surge meta of the previous seasons. Not too much to worry about so far.
Ooh.
Okay.
Definitely encountering some problems here for Tynox, Ratty, and Hammy. They were just hoping to try and make a deep play for the reboot, but they just keep encountering one hurdle after the next. Both of these teams having the same mindset. You just want to play for the reboot, but getting trapped, staring each other down. If they don't fight directly here, Takata, it's just going to delay both of these teams' opportunities to ever play for that reboot in the first place. But it looks like Tynox has decided we're just not gonna try and make a play here. We'll shift elsewhere, hope for the best outcome.
Valid. So we go back to Sato split Karma. I'm liking this, okay. I like the amount of loot they have. A few eliminations on the board as well. I'm interested in Podosai though, close by as well. This is a trio that's not too close on the consistency leaderboard, so this match really matters a lot. Meanwhile, 116 points puts you in a comfortable enough position. Already in qualifying range. Just have to kind of hold on to that spot.
This feels so much like the calm before the storm, though. Because, especially with the way that the zone is just continuing to pull a little bit more towards that south appearance, or actually, excuse me, that northwest appearance. It's like I could see things continuing to move a little bit further south here at Takata, but all of these teams kind of taking isolated positions. It's no surprise that we're witnessing other teams that have had their search strategies locked in now encounter some difficulties with that, because there are so many isolated surge bases across the map, and teams don't want to rotate through that. They're trying to take whatever natural coverage they can, but so many teams are just left chalked for these end games because they're having to spend so much material just getting to that position in the first place.
And you have trios like Trix, Loki, and Vox who are going to take advantage of those players rotating in late. Just doing as many little small tags as possible. Cammy, Hari eye drop. Looking for a big game from this trio. They're pretty close to that top 10, but nowhere near comfortable.
Cammy definitely hasn't had as flashy of a day as Seti's performance yesterday. I know that's probably one of the last things on the back of his mind right now. It's all focus on just qualing in the first place of the Major 3 Grand Finals, but being underneath that search threshold is just going to make that journey all the more difficult for that team. They're trying to see if they can close in on some search tag opportunities, but all the tradies, Kia and Hano, they're sitting pretty 845 above. The only thing that's really in their peripherals right now is just dealing with the team on Rift Island.
Yeah, this is a interesting zone because there's a lot of mountains, so it creates a lot of kind of elevated areas for trios to build bases. But not only that, in the middle of the elevated areas, you have Rift Island, which is the most elevated area you could possibly be on. So for the trios rotating in, it's going to be tough. A lot of vision onto them. Going to make it that much more difficult to safely make it into zone. Vito get on the receiving end of that. 151 above, not enough to be fully safe.
It's just unfortunate for some of these teams on the lower areas of elevation, just constantly being reminded of where these search-based positions are at.
Oh.
Even way across the way, that's a great knock, but won't be able to convert it towards an elimination. Vito's not interested in getting any closer. Even with the HP advantage, they know that double revive at that distance, it's going to be finished off well before they make their way over.
A lot of big names in this rotate. Nemspin Kiro resetting up on their dash sprite. Making sure no one's trailing behind them. Saw Vico Venoflixi close to them as well. Good little side of the mountain rotate. Making use of that environmental coverage. Trying to avoid getting shot, but it seems like they want to almost create a bit of a bedside here and not let people walk through easily.
Great minds think alike, so seeing Pink kind of trailing after Veno, no real surprise here, but Neo building for his life currently, and he's not going to be able to get away. The Storm Surge is the real threat now, and for Ratty's team, a big part of the reason why they were so adamant on chasing out these elims, because they knew we also need to stay above that surge damage threshold. The last thing you want to worry about is surge ticks when you're already having to deal with these shifts in elevation. And Kora experiencing some of that lobby focus. Cringe, Raccoon, Fido, they know this is a team in trouble. Just gonna mosey on over, tackle them, and just steamroll through their builds. Cringe though, the visuals are so limited. He doesn't even get a chance to fight back. The rest of the lobby now spraying down on these builds. Shaco's doing everything he can to try and hold the walls around him, but Cringe lost both of his teammates in one swift movement.
Hey, but now he's 9 above the threshold. Mission accomplished. Good news for Cringe is they're leading the pack in terms of consistency, 192, but one more elimination couldn't hurt. Even if he goes down here, should be able to hold on, but it's gonna put that much more pressure onto their last match. Yeah, no more cooldown on the missed form. Cringe will go down to zone here. Like I was alluding to, they are in the top of that consistency leaderboard, but after this match, it's gonna be a lot closer, and they're gonna have to get a decent game. Vico Venoflixi, on the other hand, need to have a good match here to put themselves in a comfortable spot, and I don't wanna speak too soon. A crack comes through, but no knocks as they continue on forwards.
That's still going to force Vico Flixie to recognize that they are not alone. They've got Cammy, iDrop, and Hari still overhead. And even further up, across the way, Debut, Pixovsky. So a lot of teams trying to see if they can maintain a position towards the lower edges of some of these mountain pools, but focusing back in onto the French trio and Podesai, X-Squeeze, Artskill. What have they been able to convert? It looks as if the rest of the lobby has kind of respected the fact that this team has decided to infiltrate Demon's domain, go right back to where they had originally wanted to be in the first place, but even being uncontested at that drop, you still got to make something of it, and that's all that Podesai, X-Squeeze, and Artskill are after.
Yeah, when they're out of the drop, they got 0 points in both matches, but right when they got to Demons in a single match, they were able to secure 48, and now once again, you can see they have a chance at it, but Akira also continuing to show why they're at the top of the pack.
I think Nebs and Kato a little bit pincered right now. They're just looking to burn a little bit of material count, but pressure has been alleviated. Lobby has decided to look elsewhere. Nebs, Pink, and Kyoto, they've kind of scouted where they want to go next, but they want to make sure that no one is going to prevent them from pushing forward. It's largely just Fanai, Moneymaker, and Heidi. They might have to send some shots their way or see if they can get an opportunity to really wrap around them. Where Akira and Karama kind of fought their way into their current position. But all about the misformed movement currently. Dabiel, Pixovsky, Vexy, they never even got a chance to look back. Flixie, Veno, and Vico.
Here they
They
come.
know that initial knock is the green light. They're ready to send it.
Bills are gonna come through. Vexy still hasn't had time to pop any shields. Finish now is gonna grab them a Chug Jug, as they heavily need that bit of extra shield, but you don't want to spend too much time in this fight. They're not in zone yet. They've secured the finish. No need to continue pursuing. Right now, the focus is on getting to zone. It is in an elevated part here, so a lot of these trios have to go up a tiny ridge, meaning you don't want to take too much time. Cammy, though, is going to be one of the trios up above. There's a lot of big names that need a massive match here. And Cammy, Hari, and iDrop are one of them. Podesai being another one as well, directly below them. Artskill getting almost cracked.
And Cammy just trying to keep tabs, making sure that if they do get chopped, that they'll be able to utilize those dashes. A few charges still left in that dash sprite even, but it's a challenge up against the Frenchies. Podesai, X-Squeeze, Artskill, they might have to deal with Cammy's trio. Cammy kind of recognized the fact they can't hold tight. They have that team kind of lurking underneath them, but in the low ground, Nebs, Pink, Keto, forced to fight their way through now. They've got Surge working against them, and they can't outstand it. They don't want to have to try and last it, but it's not going to make a difference here. Keto, their primary fragger, has been knocked. The double revive and one below Surge. They need a single shot to Kata, but they're having to spend so much time just healing. They're missing the opportunity to get that tag in.
Yeah, they have to go for the double res and the heal. Cammy, iDrop, Hari once again looking to see if they can claim height. They tried it in the first game. It got overthrown, but they have a shot at it once again. And this time around, a lot of materials. If the zone's able to pull back, could be a blessing for this trio, as now they're focused on just applying that pressure to the trios that are second.
iDrop with that misform can always drop. He's got the dashes too, so he won't take any fall damage, but Flixie, Veno, Vico, all the way in the lowest layer playing towards that front side, just trying to push other teams back. Artiste under so much heavy fire, doing everything in his power to try and hold these walls, but Pink, Keto, and Nebs immediately catapulting themselves towards the front side. Keto one more time, though, gonna pay the ultimate price here. He's been knocked only this time. Pink and Nebs, they don't have the chance to try and play for that double revive. They've got to keep things moving. They know there's too many teams getting pulled into the congestion in this low ground. Veno, Vico, Flixie waiting for their openings, but iDrop, Cammy, Hadi, they are refusing to let up any pressure. They're gonna force these teams to the low ground to keep expending these misforms just to get to the front side.
Ooh, elevated themselves up. They might be starting to look up above. They know high ground team might be running low on materials here. It really depends where this second to last zone pulls. Will it go back? Will it continue far? As Harry, Kami, I drop now. Pressure's onto them as people are trying to drop them down. It's Vico, Veno, Flixie taking shots. They want to take a shot at high ground.
Podesai, art skill, also kind of tangled up in this mess that's developing underneath, but Vico, he's actually overthrown height. Veno has been dropped behind though, didn't actually get the chance to reunite. So Vico, he'll fall back. He wants to go pick up the loot from Veno at the very least, but now high ground completely thrown into disarray. And Prism, Kyrie, they're gonna be some of the first to jump right back to it. They don't even recognize the fact that Vico's all the way inside a storm just trying to play the med kits, buying himself a little bit of time. He even has an opportunity to still look for shots onto Kyrie and Prism. Do they even know what's about to flank them? But Vico, he could care less. It's actually gonna be a front side, another layer transition. He knows he's too separated from Flixie. He can't actually make that challenge for height. Art skill, Moneymaker, Tidy, all getting chopped out, dropped underneath, and Moneymaker, it's gonna be the first one to fall from his team, but Tidy, F9, they can get a refresh. They might still be able to make something happen here, but F9, he only has a sliver of HP. Podesai chasing him down.
The back-to-back drop. Tidy now only forced with one material left, doing what he can to stay up. But it looks like the French trio, they've overthrown it. They needed a big match. They were in the lower half of the leaderboard going into this game. 0 points in the first two, and now everything on the line in the second to last match alongside Flixie and Vico, who are doing what they can to clutch it up as a duo.
For Podesai, he doesn't have a whole lot of material left over. He's got to hope that the low ground starts to clear itself out. RT's still duking it out underneath. Flixie will finally fall. That's the end of Veno's team here. Podesai, X-Squeeze, they have the chance to close this one out for France. Guaranteed their spots for the Major 3 Grand Finals. X-Squeeze delivers. Werix has fallen. Meme has the opportunity now. Gentle Mates, another team getting sent forward. But Podesai taken down. Ortiz ready to play spoiler. X-Squeeze can't hold on. It's 1 versus 3. And Ivan, Ifrozi, Levin called it at the start of this show. Surprises have happened here, Takata, and they bring it home at the end.
I know Levin's got a big smile on his face. He said, I told you they have what it takes. And in game 4, they closed it out, playing it patiently from the low ground. You can see the connections coming through from Ivan, Elim after Elim, putting the pressure on height, making sure his team is looking extra healthy for those final moments. And with the last shot getting connected, they're able to close out the match and put themselves into the major finals. Look, I need to stop speaking because I want to hear what Levin has to say about his trio qualifying.
So, Levin, you were saying the top 5 playing without pressure trios included a trio that qualified, I think, in 93rd place. And that trio just happened to get a victory royale. Talk to us about how you're feeling right now.
I'm just, look, I can say a lot right now. I love how Takara called them my team as well. He's like, yeah, 11's team, like I'm coaching them or something. Nah, it's not like that. Look, the reality is, you know, when you've been watching Fortnite as long as I have, the eyes don't lie. Do you know what I'm saying? This team passed the eye test. When I've watched them, they've played really good Fortnite, and they've done it as well in previous group stages this year. It's not like they're a team from out of nowhere completely. They have experience in lobbies like this. You know, to close out the win in that way was very clinical of them. And some pop-up players as well, bigger limbs. It's not like they just walked through and they were playing, you know, low ground, hiding in the lobby, and they bided their time. Nah, they took the game by storm there, Mini.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the chaos up on high ground actually really helped them out because, of course, so many players up there were really trying to go for it. It was a bit of a mess up there for a lot of time. And I think a lot of those players were then dropping on down to the low ground, in which case these guys are like, yeah, come on down. We'll have all that loot. And they just played it so well. Again, sticking together so well, using that experience in these sort of lobbies to their advantage as well. And I think it's just really well played from these guys when it comes to their fragging ability. You mentioned it at the beginning of the show, Levin, expecting big things, and here they are doing it.
Love to see it.
We're going to head to a short break. As you can tell, I'm back. I will not be interrupting my analysts.